Okay, so today I want to talk about how ideas have consequences. And I'm going to refer, which I never have before, put links to articles on my videos. But in this case, I'm going to make an exception with this one. So I think this is a wake-up call for people. I'm going to read one section of this and then make some commentary, okay? Okay, so the title of this is from the Huffington Post. I know you're going to say mainstream media, bad, but just hear me out, okay? A vaccine or this marriage, conspiracy theories tearing couples apart. And I'm just going to read one account, the first one. For Lucy, a 59-year-old metastatic breast cancer patient from Washington State, getting aggressive chemotherapy for months, the coronavirus almost certainly would have killed her. Yet as relief washed over her upon receiving her final Pfizer dose in March, she knew she'd have to keep it to herself. Her husband had begged her not to get the shot. At the outset of the pandemic, Lucy's husband and partner of 7 years, Shane, was as cautious as anyone about the virus. He kept a big container of hand sanitizer in the car and frantically washed his hands, keys, and other items. He wore a face mask everywhere he went, showered and changed his clothes immediately upon returning home from necessary outings, and was anxious for Lucy and her elderly mother, who lives with them, to get vaccinated as soon as possible due to their heightened vulnerabilities. But as the crisis dragged on, 60-year-old Shane spent months cooped up inside on YouTube and Facebook, where a vortex of coronavirus conspiracy theory videos was waiting for him. Many declared that the virus was nothing to fear, that it was the vaccines he should really be afraid of. Before long, he was also tuning into the increasingly malicious disinformation networks Newsmax and OAN, which regularly rehashed the lies he'd been fed online. He was completely enthralled, Lucy said, and over time his worldview did a 180. Among other delusions, Shane is now steadfastly convinced that the COVID-19 outbreak was orchestrated by government-allied forces, the coronavirus is no more harmful than the flu, and the vaccines alter recipients' DNA, condemning them to slowly perish. Shane also believed that those who've been vaccinated can shed deadly toxins onto unvaccinated people in their vicinity. He fled the house when one of Lucy's vaccinated adult sons from her previous marriage came to visit around Memorial Day of this year. Since returning more than a week afterward, he has confined himself to the basement and insisted that Lucy's children never come back, lest they shed. He still doesn't know Lucy is immunized. She hides her vaccine card in a safety deposit box. See, so ideas have consequences, and certainly the ideas, lies, and misinformation and disinformation that is spreading all over social media like wildfire is certainly bearing very rotten fruit. And we see examples like this. These are two examples listed in this article about marriages that were destroyed over this. And I'm sure that this is only the tip of the iceberg. There's an alarming stat in this article that I want to read. Okay. Talking about QAnon. Well, QAnon is that false narrative that drove people that supported Trump to think that he was going to be reinstated. And they also thought that this virus was a hoax and so forth. And basically, the Public Religion Research Institute did a poll. It says a staggering 15% of Americans have adopted the movement's core beliefs. For many, QAnon's wild anti-vaccine conspiracy theories have left them completely petrified. So I'm not so sure whether it was just QAnon that started it, but it is illustrative that the QAnon and the anti-vax conspiracy theories kind of go hand in hand. You see, this is the thing in that, Trump, he stoked the flame to get the, as we talked about, the Capitol rioters to storm the Capitol. So I'm thinking, and that's one of the reasons why I thought, and still do, that this is all orchestrated in order to create the chaos, to bring in the order. You see, the truth is that as communism have found out, you don't have to fire a shot to control people. You just manipulate them through media, And like I said in my previous video, the mainstream switcheroo, instead of fake news being on YouTube and Facebook, and that was one time, not long ago, was considered to be ridiculous to believe any of that stuff. Now people think the opposite, that anything on the mainstream is bad and anything on YouTube and Facebook is worthy of hearing. And this article that I just found proves that. 15% of Americans believe the QAnon conspiracy theory. That's really staggering, and that's contributing to the issue at hand. And the issue at hand, of course, is that people won't get vaccinated because of these conspiracy theories. That's 15% of Americans. Of course, you've got others that just don't want to bother with it, and that's true, but this is largely continuing this pandemic, and it's causing it to rage, with these variants. And this is going to continue to spiral out of control until this misinformation is dealt with. And that the government could have told YouTube to make its algorithm strong and knock this stuff out, and Facebook, but clearly they haven't, and clearly there's a reason for this, I think. Now, because these things cannot happen by accident. But, I know the freedom of speech issues, and the government is leery about it, and that certainly is an explanation. But man, to cost all these lives, and people are not insisting that this stuff be removed. I don't know. But it is causing major problems, and these ideas that are floating around have serious medical consequences. I got to do another video at some point about the democratization of information and how that compares to some other things that we can compare them to. But I wanted to get into this today because I saw this article, and boy, it just felt like me, because I was believing this crapola too. And then until I snapped out of it, and it is like a spell. It is like a sort of a spell. It's a brainwashing, though. And once you step away from that echo chamber for a while, though, and start to think rationally, then you can break that spell. But man, it's terrible. And I had to apologize to some people, and some people have disowned me, but that's it. And there's other reasons as Christians that we need to reject these things and the anti-government sentiment. I'm going to talk about that in a future video, but I just wanted to share this article and talk a little bit about it today, okay? Thanks for joining me. Please like, share, and subscribe, and we will talk to you soon. Ciao.